I was doing these things, these two things I'm gonna share with you throughout the years. I've been a software engineer for multiple years. I would have had way stronger performance reviews throughout. So this video, it might really help you. The first thing that I did differently in 2025 was I made sure that I was matching my energy, I was matching the quality of my mind to the difficulty of the task. And maybe not even matching, but making sure that the quality of my mind, the energy that I was bringing was at the level, or ideally even higher than the level of a task. So I'm gonna diagram things out with my hands a little bit. I got a lot of respect for my previous self, my younger self. But what I would do a lot of times was, when I would get a task, I would just try to put in hours. I would say, I'm gonna spend 4 hours this afternoon on that, and 4 hours should be enough to solve that. And it was very noble. It was very. I have a lot of pride in my younger self, who would just try to put in work and effort and volume into things, thinking that would solve everything, and that can get you pretty far. But what I was missing was that there are times in the day, or there are moments when my mind is a lot sharper. So again, to diagram out with my hands, say a problem is here. No amount of working down here is going to solve the problem. I could spend 20, 30, 40 hours working on this problem here, but it's not until I attack the problem with a higher quality mind that I can solve it. Sometimes I might even solve it in 1 hour, or 2 hours, or less even. And so what I did in 2025 was, I realized that my mind is consistently sharp, consistently focused, consistently able to solve difficult problems in the morning. So I would, multiple times a week, get up at 6:30 a.m. and within 30 minutes of opening my eyes, hands on a keyboard, working. And so, and to be honest with y'all, there were I fell off this multiple times throughout the year, but 2025 was probably the most consistent I've been with. There were probably the most number of mornings that I was working. I think that's of early mornings where I was working. I think that's the best way to put it. To word that, the most number of early mornings where I was working. Anyway, you guys know what I mean. So anyway, and it's not just, and I'm using mornings as an example because that's a guaranteed time when I'm focused, but I'm also naturally focused after a cold shower. I'm also naturally focused after a workout. So if I had a challenging task, I would either try to do it during my morning session, or I would go and take a little time to get my energy up, to get my mind to a better, sharper, stronger place, and then attack the problem. Whereas before, I would just try to do this problem or solve whatever it is, whether it's putting together a presentation, whether it's doing a difficult ticket, whether it's diving into an area of the code base that I don't understand, whatever it is, I'm trying to improve my state, improve the quality of my mind before attacking it, and that helped me solve more difficult things. And as I was solving more difficult things, and by solving more difficult things, I think that's what led me to get a good performance review. And as a little aside, I used to think that number of tasks that I did was a good metric for my work. But now I'm realizing that as a software engineer, it's the more complex things you can solve. If you're a software engineer who can solve very difficult problems, you become really, really valuable to an organization. If you're somebody who solves a bunch of easier problems or medium problems, or gets a lot of things done, that's also really good. That's also really important and very useful. But honestly, the thing that's really hard to replace are the engineers who can solve very complex problems. So I have been really working on getting my mind sharper so that I can solve these really difficult problems. So that's the first thing, is matching your energy to the task at hand. Nowadays, if I have a difficult task and my mind isn't right, and my mind isn't really sharp, I actually just let it go. I just allow myself to do something easier, or maybe even just take a nice break. If I can, sometimes I have to be available, but if I can take a break, go for a walk or something, or just unplug a little bit, that's actually more productive, because I'd rather rest fully and then attack the problem again when my mind is sharp. So matching, and so the actionable thing that I'd like to give y'all is be like a scientist. Think about, when is my mind naturally sharp? When is my mind naturally more focused? And once you start doing this, you'll start to realize, okay, I'm sharper after I lift weights. I'm sharper after I take a cold shower. I'm sharper after I eat this type of food. I'm sharper at this time of the day. And it doesn't have to be the same things as me. You know, there are plenty of engineers who are way better engineers than I am who are night owls. But be like a scientist. Think about when is my mind sharp? And once you start to find that out, make sure that you're working during those times where your mind is sharp, and you're going to naturally start seeing that you're completing more difficult tasks, which is going to lead to a strong performance review. The second thing is to punch above your weight. So I spent a lot of time in the past where I would just do stuff that I felt was matching my job description or level. I would think, okay, that's not my job. I would legitimately be looking for tasks that were in my wheelhouse all the time, which is just not a good way to grow. I remember in the past, I would look at a Jira board and I would look at these tickets and I would say, okay, that ticket is in my wheelhouse. I'm gonna try to grab that one. That ticket looks like something I can do. I try to grab that one. And the tickets that I was intimidated by, I would secretly hope that somebody else would grab them. But now I really try to grab the more difficult tasks if I can, because I know that if I grab the more difficult tasks, I'm punching above my weight. I'm trying to grab the more difficult tickets. I'm trying to jump into the meetings where people are making architectural decisions. I'm trying to punch above my weight. And an action item here is to use affirmations. So one of the things that I frequently tell myself almost every day is that I perform at a senior level engineer. I tell myself I perform I perform at senior level. I perform at senior level. I'm a senior level engineer. I usually say I perform, or my output is that of a senior engineer, or sometimes I even say my output is that of a staff engineer, because I'm technically am a mid-level engineer. When I say I am a senior level engineer, there's something in my mind that says you're not actually right now. Like you're going to be, but you're not right now. And there's like this little conflict in my mind. So instead, what I've been saying is I output at a senior engineer. I perform at a senior engineer. And sometimes I still say I am a senior engineer, but I'm trying to use the other ones a little bit more because it just works a little better for my brain. But those affirmations, constantly saying those affirmations, get my mind attuned to punching above its weight. So I and just giving you guys a little funny anecdote. I was playing table tennis open play recently, and I played this guy who's just way better, just way better than me, and I could say as we were warming up, my mind immediately could tell this dude was good, and immediately it was just funny. My brain came up with this thought that said, I am at this guy's level. I perform at this level. I'm an advanced. I can play at an advanced ping pong level, and it's just funny that I just found it humorous that even though I've been using all these affirmations for work, that it like when I'm doing stuff for leisure, also these affirmations just randomly pop into my head. It's almost as if I'm attuning my mind for higher quality work with these affirmations, but my mind is now starting to try to unlock itself in other areas of my life, which I think is pretty cool. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. I still have a lot to learn. One of the things that, again, as an aside, one of the things that I want to get a lot better at work is being more articulate, being able to speak more succinctly in meetings, and specifically being able to describe technical problems really succinctly. I think that's a really, really good skill if you want to move up. But these two things led me to a very, very strong performance review in 2025. And I'm planning to do in 2026 to eclipse my my performance of 2025. I think that's the right use of eclipse, but surpass maybe is a better word to use. To recap, number one is match your energy to the difficulty of a task, and number two is to aim to punch above your weight. So that's all I got for y'all, and I'll talk to y'all on the next one.